for all things Halloween. This is hauntformer, and I'm back again to bring you another R.I.P. review. But today I'm going to be reviewing something a little bit different, here with my friend Jared from Comedy Bros. And today we are going to be reviewing the movie that is known as Poltergeist.
The 2015 version.
Yeah, the 2015, not the original. Just so you were wondering, but I'd assume that you knew that we were reviewing the new one. For all of you who have seen the original, you kind of know what to expect with this. This movie was made by Gil Kennan and stars Rosemary DeWitt and Sam Rockwell, right?
Yeah, Iron Man 2.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So, this movie is about a family that moves into a house, only to find out that it was built on a cemetery, and there is a poltergeist in it, where it abducts their daughter. A bunch of crazy stuff happens, and you'll have to watch the movie to find out the rest.
Well, if you've seen the original...
If you've seen the original, you kind of know what to expect.
It's not much different.
It's not much different, except the effects, sadly, are not as good, even though it's made in 2015. I think the reason is they were trying to go so far into the effects of the movie that it really didn't turn out that good.
But it wasn't even... The effects were just so... Like, I could see if they wanted to do a little CG, but no. There's this one part...
That was completely CG.
Yeah, and
everything
they
was
go into
CG.
the ghost realm.
Yeah.
And there's all these skeletons. Okay, spoiler alert.
Yeah.
But
you
there's all these skeletons, and then they're like doing their thing.
They go into this like portal.
But it's all CG, even
everything.
Yeah.
And they look fake. Like I love this app FX Guru that I use for my videos. Like I could pretty much do it on that app. That's how you could tell that the effects were not that great. Now, just to say, if you're anticipating, like I was, that clown that you saw in the posters and the trailer, thinking that it's going to be a big part...
He's in there for 2 seconds.
It's in there for literally 2 seconds, so you're not going to see that much of the clown.
No, I knew the marketing... I mean, I knew the marketing was going to...
Yeah, I knew it wasn't going to be the whole movie. I knew it was going to be part of it.
The original...
But he was in it for literally 2 seconds. They build him up at the beginning, and then they just, like, kill him off.
I mean, it was in the first, really, like, 30 minutes or something he was in there.
Yeah. And they were like, here he comes, and then, oh, boom, and then...
And another thing, none of these characters in this movie are really likable. They're all annoying. The dads...
And the kids aren't realistic.
No, they aren't realistic because the daughter is weird.
Yeah, and they don't seem to care that there's a ghost kidnapping people. They're like, yeah.
In the original, the kids aren't much different, honestly. I know you haven't seen all of the original, but in the original, when I saw
I've seen parts.
The kids are still... weird, like they don't react.
Yeah. They're not reacting in the right way that a normal kid would, and just overall, you didn't even get to know any of the characters. They were just kind of there.
No, and the son had this weird reaction when his was it Maddie? Yeah, when she's at the door, he's like, Maddie, what are you doing? And then
they just don't care, and then they just move along.
And then there's this whole
and you don't even know what the ghost. You don't even know what the ghost. Like, what the ghost is. Like, you kind of know...
You didn't know that in the original, either. There wasn't much... There was, but it was better than
I think
the new
usually
one.
You should explain what the bad villain is and what their story is, but I guess not. But they didn't even explain the real characters that were the humans.
The only CG I'm going to say is actually good on this was the ending where all the...
Yeah, and there was a tree, and the tree was okay. Except there was one part with the tree that was kind of funny.
But then the parents were so unrealistic in this. So they go to this party, and then, you know, of course, cliche...
Spoiler alert, by the way, if you don't want to know what happens.
So the people were like, oh yeah, you didn't know? The place you live is on this, you know, cemetery, but not this ancient burial ground, you know? I don't know if that was like an homage to the original, because in the original it was like an ancient burial ground, so I don't know if that was an homage to that.
Could be.
But then later on, you see like millions of dead bodies, just like, so
and they look fake.
Yeah, well, yeah. But anyways, so the parents are going back, they're driving, and meanwhile you get like the scenes of
the clown in the tree.
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden the kid's up in the 30-foot tree.
Yeah, the kid gets
and they're just like, oh, there he is.
No, literally the branch. Okay, so when he's talking to Maddie, Maddie gets kidnapped, and he's like, ah.
Who's the little sister, Maddie?
And then the branch comes like inside the living room, grabs him, and starts like dragging him throughout the house.
Yeah. And then the clown just disappears. You never even see it again.
Well, his
face gets like ripped off.
And that's like for 5 seconds. He's just jamming his foot into the clown's face, and then
it's just it's kind of over the place, but we've said negatives, so let's think of some positives. One positive I have is
I think the way it was filmed was nice. I think
filming was good.
Less Sam Rockwell did actually. I think he did.
The actors were good, but you just didn't know them. I think that's more of the writing than it is the actors' fault. The actors portrayed it pretty well.
Well, no, I'm surprised because Sam Raimi, who did the Spider-Man movies,
they did a good job on those.
He's known with the Evil Dead.
Yeah,
and
he's a good director.
Yeah, and he produced the new Evil Dead, which was I liked the new Evil Dead.
So it was kind of weird to see it kind of take.
Yeah,
that turn.
So I don't know if they put his name there to sell it because they knew Sam Raimi. Because originally. The original Poltergeist, Tobe Hooper directed it, who is known for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and, Steven Spielberg produced it. There were two names you knew with that, and the director, I've never heard of him before. I've heard of Sam Raimi.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
They put produced by Sam Raimi, not directed by Gil Kennan, because no one's ever heard of him. So...
I think another pro is that it's an original story, but unless you're counting the first one. But if you're not, then I like the concept that the ghosts are like in the technology. And nowadays, with all the technology we have, with the phones, TVs, and everything, it really makes it kind of connects.
The scariest scene, the part that I thought was the whole movie really wasn't scary.
It was, like, you could probably bring a kid 12 years old and they wouldn't really get that freaked out. There's, like, 3 tops jump scares.
But the only one I remember, the clown, but that's in the trailer.
The clown's in, if you've seen the trailer, then you know what to expect with the clown.
The other one where this is towards the end where Sam Rockwell, the dad, he's going up and he sees Maddie, and her face looks all messed up and stuff, like the demon face. You know?
And then it jumps.
But you never hear from it again. It's 2 seconds, she's like, Daddy! And then you never hear from it again.
And it doesn't even build up to that.
No.
Like, we don't know why she had that face. We don't know who that was. Some stuff was just kind of weird.
There's a lot of loose ends in the movie.
And it was mixed with comedy, which was kind of a weird thing.
Yes, because at the end, you see the ghost hunter guy.
The one, I can't remember.
They're all cracking jokes at the end, which makes...
After, all this crazy stuff happens with this house. And then they're like, and then they start making jokes.
And it wasn't even like Evil Dead, because Evil Dead had this weird sense of humor.
Because humor in horror movies, I think, is personally, I think it's a good thing, because it kind of relieves the audience before the next big scare happens, but just having it...
just so out of place.
It was out of place.
Because you think it's over... And then it just cuts to this weird scene of them at some house making some show, and it's not funny.
It was just weird, and it just doesn't explain a lot. But overall, what are we gonna give the movie? We'll give Jared's opinion, and we'll give my opinion, and then we'll kind of put them together.
Honestly, we didn't see this in 3D.
No, we didn't.
It's not worth seeing it in 3D.
There's nothing you're gonna really. 3D nowadays, they have to make it better. Right now, it's just kind of sticking out. For my opinion, I'm gonna probably give it a 6.5 to 7, maybe around the 7, just because I've never seen the original, so that's probably biased a little, but I like that the idea is interesting with the ghosts taking over technology, and I think that's cool, but also the effects could have been a lot better, and they could have used more of props rather than
practical
the CG,
effects.
Gremlins, for example. You can't make a CG Gremlins, but when Gremlins were the actual puppets, it looked real.
It was effective.
Same thing with this movie, just as an example.
They could have created really realistic...
because they weren't... The zombies are regular zombies, you could buy at Spirit Halloween, that you all know that I enjoy. So, it really wouldn't have been that hard. So what are you gonna give, Jared?
Since I've seen the original, and I watch a lot of movies, I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 10 because I feel like it's not a good horror movie. It's not scary. It didn't define itself.
Kind of more action-y than horror.
Well, it didn't define itself.
It wasn't really any... It was like a mix. Comedy, horror, action. It was... Tech. I don't know if that's a
tech, sort of. That daughter was hooked on her electronics. Oh yeah, and then that's another thing that doesn't get answered. The mom's like, we don't have money for anything. Yet then the dad goes and buys iPhone 6s and all that
I assume
stuff.
that was something with the technology, with the cards, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. And again, that's another thing I don't think gets answered.
Yeah, so more things could have been answered with this movie. But I think, like, average together maybe, like, a 5. So, like, half.
I think, yeah.
If you want to see it, just because you want to say you saw it, go out and see it. If not, watch the original Poltergeist. Yeah. And if you are younger, like if you're a preteen, see this movie because it's probably more appropriate for that kind of age. So I hope you all enjoyed this different episode of R.I.P. Reviews with my friend Jared. And after this is over, we're going to show you an exclusive Comedy Bros clip for the upcoming year.
Yeah.
So we hope you all enjoy. And remember, for all things Halloween, this is Hauntformer.